Let's look at how we can change the world by equipping people to know Christ, grow in their faith, and then reach out to help others do the same. What are some ways we can help build disciples who will multiply and help launch spiritual movements? Here is a river. On this side of the river is Jesus. And on this side of the river are several people who have not yet met Jesus. How can we help these men and women hear the gospel and then come to know Christ personally? How can we help them cross this deep river? We could put big rocks in the water for them to step on. The rocks represent resources that can help them on their journey across the river. We could invite them to a soaring adventure group, an engaging, community-building, life coaching course that presents the gospel. We could show them the Jesus film or Magdalena. These are films that highlight the gospel, and in Magdalena, Jesus' compassion and esteem. Or we could share our personal story of meeting Christ. We might go through a gospel booklet with them, like Beginning Your Journey of Significance. Or we could take them to the maze, an evangelistic illusion performance that creatively presents the gospel. We may want to invite them to a Christmas gathering, where the true meaning of Christmas is shared. Or we could give them More Than a Carpenter, an insightful book that explains who Jesus is. These are just a few of the resources we can use to help people cross the river and meet Christ. So here is a nurse who took the soaring course and came to know Christ, so she crossed the river. This is a student who attended the maze. Someone followed up with him and shared their story as well as the gospel booklet, Beginning Your Journey of Significance, and he came to know Christ. This student now has Christ in his life and has crossed the river. This grandmother went to a Christmas gathering in her neighborhood, but she is not interested in knowing Christ right now. She continues on her path with continued prayer and friendship from the woman who invited her. This young mother was invited to a showing of Magdalena at a church, and she came to know Christ. We want Christians to grow in their relationship with Christ. We want them to know how to tell others about Christ. How can we help this happen? Hopefully, these people will get involved in a church where they can grow spiritually. There are also discipleship resources to help men and women grow, just as there were resources to help them come to know Christ. These discipleship resources are like planks in a bridge that equip them to cross back over to the other side of the river, where they can help other men and women cross the river to meet Christ. They could meet with someone for one-to-one discipleship. Or they could take the significant woman or the significant man, a life-changing discipleship course that uses life coaching principles to help individuals connect to God and their personal mission. They could go through Rivka, an exciting video follow-up series set in the 1st century. They might want to do Your New Life Concept Series, a basic follow-up for students and others who are new believers. Or they could participate in a meaningful Bible study or discipleship course from global church movements at their church. So the nurse who has crossed the river and met Christ gets involved in a church and also takes the Significant Woman course. She begins to grow and meet other Christian women who also want to grow in Christ. The nurse starts talking about Christ with one of her coworkers. She takes her coworker to a Christmas gathering. They then do a soaring course together, and her friend begins a personal relationship with Christ. Her friend has crossed the river. Her friend does a global church movement discipleship course and begins to grow. She helps her husband and their doctor friend cross the river. They also cross the bridge and begin to grow. Then each of them helps several others cross the river and the bridge. And they all help others do the same, and they all help others do the same, and so on, and so on, and so on. This is multiplication that leads to a spiritual movement. The rocks in the river that represent evangelistic resources and the planks in the bridge that represent discipleship resources are not the end in themselves. They are a means to build multiplying disciples and launch spiritual movements.